All right, so now let's talk about how to find a trail. How do you find a trail? We asked in our live workshop here, like how many people like to hike, right? Everybody raises their hand. How many people know how to find a trail? And not many people really knew how to find a trail. And I was like that for the longest time. I kind of depended on other people to set up hikes for me to go on these different hikes, or I had to ask for recommendations from people. A lot of people here said, well, they'd go to Red Rock. Okay, well, which trail would you go to Red Rock? Well, there's a bunch of different trails at Red Rock. What if you chose a trail that was not very enjoyable, that was too long for what you thought it was going to be? You couldn't plan right for it. You had no idea what to see or expect on it. So I think it's useful to do some pre-planning, and it's pretty simple to do. One really good resource is the National Forest Service. So the National Forest Service has an online website resource where you can search for trails and camping grounds. The only problem is it's going to be limited to national parks. So if a national trail is registered with the National Forest Service in a national forest, then it's going to show up in this resource. But a lot of places that we have access to are not national forests. So then another really good resource is going to be just getting some really good books. One of my favorite places to do this is REI, because REI kind of specializes in getting outdoors. And if you go to their website, they have a lot of great hiking guidebook resources that are specific to the US, to national parks, and then also your geographical location. You can also go in person to REI and shop for these books. But my favorite place to look for trails, and something that's going to give you a lot of useful information so you can plan accordingly and just know if you're capable of the trail, is going to be using apps and sites. And my favorite is All Trails. We've used a lot of different resources. All Trails is super user friendly. It has a PC-based version or a web-based version and a phone application. And basically you can go in and search for a trail in your geographical location or the place that you want to go. And then you're going to pull up all the trails in that area, and you're going to see them sorted by rating, but then you can also see them sorted by other different criteria. But what's great is you can actually read details about the hike, like how long the hike is, the elevation change, recommendations for things to bring. You get an idea of different pictures that you'll see, sites that you'll see on the hike. So it's a really, really great resource, and just a little bit of planning can ensure a really, really great experience when you go hiking. But then you want to ask yourself, like, what is the best hike for me to consider in this specific situation? Well, here's some things that we would consider thinking about. A little bit of thought goes a long way, all right? First of all, how much time do you have, right? A lot of us are hiking on Saturdays or Sundays, but we have to be back at a certain time. So you want to understand the estimated time that it's going to take to do the hike, plus factor in the drive time, the commute time there, getting set up, coming back, and then the commute time back. All right, so again, a little bit of thought goes a long ways. I always plan an extra hour or two for the commute, just to be safe and conservative. Also, you want to consider your fitness level and the people that you're going with, right? You don't want to be a hero. You don't want to plan for a 10 or 15 or 20 mile hike if you're not ready for it, right? You want to enjoy the hike, and maybe you want it to be a little bit challenging from a fitness standpoint, but you just want to put a little bit of thought into your actual capabilities, right? Distance is extremely important. So account for maybe about 20 minutes per mile depending on the elevation change, but that will give you an idea of how long the hike can be that you can go on. And then also you want to factor in elevation. I'm really sensitive to elevation. An increase of 1,000 feet per mile in elevation is going to be pretty steep. It's going to be pretty gassing, right? Just factor that in a little bit. Time of year and weather obviously are something to consider. So, Red Rock right now here in Vegas, like, it's super, super hot. It's not my favorite place to go hiking. Mount Charleston is a little bit better, but then there'd be some areas that in the winter might be kind of miserable because it's so cold, or it might be frozen over. And then you also want to consider logistics. Your travel time, your commuting, who you're going to go with, what kind of vehicle you might need to get there, the parking situation, you can research that beforehand, and also the equipment that you want to bring, which we're going to cover in another module. All right. So again, a little bit of planning goes a long way in making this a great experience for you.